All right, y'all. This is True News 365, and I wanted to see if I could do a really quick commentary on the really bad and pro-death talking points of this celebrity soccer player lady who actually spoke. And the reason why I'm interested in what she says was because she went on social media speaking about various things, and she numbered a bunch of talking points. Right, she machine gunned through those talking points one after another, and I wanted to rebut them as Christians should in the culture. Every time people speak lies in the culture, we rebut them with truth. You can't just stay quiet, because lies, if lies are repeated enough times, they're going to be believed. Someone's out there, okay, is going to start believing all the crap. That's why so many people are so confused. Because why? Because of the education system, because of the public school system, the government school system, the universities that are overrun by the mentally deranged, spiritually possessed individuals, that some of which are very much purposefully dedicated to lies. And what I mean by that is they're dedicated to be antichrists in the culture, okay? And I know these are harsh and strong words, but they're needed. We can't cut corners. We cannot we can't mix words, okay? We can't mince words or mix words. I'm sorry, okay? So let's get into this, and real quick, I just want to listen to this. Oops, that was my son. No, he doesn't really look like that. But let's see. Okay. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is what I wanted to do right about here. Okay, let's listen to what she has to say. I don't think I'm going to be able to go beyond maybe like 5 or 6, 7 minutes of what she's saying, but I'm going to try to answer them as they go along, if my pop-ups and my notifications will not interrupt me. Here we go.
I wish that we could just talk about soccer today, but obviously with the...
Of course she can't. She has to talk and use her celebrity powers.
Ruling on RowVWade, that takes precedence over everything.
Notice how emotional she is. The left, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that she shouldn't be emotional, or that she isn't genuinely emotional. If you're extremely confused and you're dedicated to your confusion, regardless of your right or wrong, you can and will be emotionally distraught by whatever events take place. It's genuine. It's just misguided.
It's hard to put into words how sad a day this is for me personally.
Okay, she's speaking, an emotional response to the Supreme Court decision of Roe v. Wade being overturned. Okay, so her sadness is the glee and the happiness of, and the celebration of those who understand the argument, okay, for life, for saving babies in the womb, for not going back to paganism in human society, for people who understand history, who haven't been indoctrinated. This woman, she sounds like an intelligent woman, and I'm sure she is, okay, but she's been very well indoctrinated, and she is a member, because she is a professed lesbian, a lesbian representation of the alphabet soup community, okay, which I don't want to mention. That's why she's on this perspective, okay?
For my teammates, for just all of the people out there who this is going to affect. I say this all the time, but pro-choice means that you get to choose. Pro-choice allows other people to be pro-life if that is what works for them, or that is what their beliefs are, or if that is where they're at in their life. Pro-life doesn't allow anybody to make a choice.
Okay, so listen to that argument, okay? Pro-choice means you can choose even to be pro-life. But pro-life doesn't get a choice, okay? But now, that's really basically putting a muzzle on the opposing perspective, okay? And the opposing perspective isn't just any perspective. The opposing perspective is there's a person, an individual, a baby, a DNA separated human being, okay, at birth, being snuffed out, being violated, being ransacked, being genocided, if that's a word, okay? So pro-choice means you get to choose murder, okay? Pro-life means that there is no choice. Yes, there is. That means you choose, your baby will live. Okay, so the baby, there's a focus for her. It's all her focus. It's all on her. Okay, pro-life means we're focusing on the mother and the baby. Okay, because the mother in a healthy human society, based on however humanity has existed between forever in the past up until maybe 50 years ago, okay, has always meant that women are happy to give birth, okay, that it's a good thing to be able to give birth up until this time, okay, where identity issues have become inflamed and metastasized in the culture. And so now there's a development of seeing things in a totally different perspective. We understand this perspective to have existed only among civilizations that have eventually obliterated, okay, that no longer exist, okay? These civilizations we consider as, historically, we see them as being pagan. People who were into cannibalism, into sacrificing their children for convenience, for the appealing to their gods in their religions, all of that stuff. Their enemies, okay, all of this stuff. This is all in history. This is all, you can all look this up. We recognize this. But that's what she's talking about. She's making it seem like it's such a simple distinction, but it really isn't.
I think this, obviously, you can understand from an individual perspective how difficult it is to live in a country where you have a constant, unrelenting, violent,
Notice how the left will always add that little element of violence. Oh, it's violence. Your opinions are violent. Your words, your choice of words, even though they've been historically understood, and the left is the one that keeps recreating and redefining words. The words that are against their narrative they're violent. Okay, that's another appeal to a call to action, appeal to emotionality.
Tied against you, an onslaught as a woman.
An onslaught as a woman. She must be referring to the little women in the womb.
And it would be as a gay person, and as a non-binary person, as a trans person, whoever this is going to affect, because it affects a lot more than just women. Or cis women. It really does.
You see how she's committed to this whole radical leftist terminology and this whole sub-universe, surrealness of language and perspective. Cis, they add that in there. They can't just say a woman. They have to say cis. Why? Because they want to give emphasis to something that's not what we understand as women. So they have to say cis women. They can't just say women, because to them, there isn't just women. Now there are men that pretend to be women that call themselves women. So now they want to say that those are women too. So it's so convoluted. It's so, Martianian. it's so outer space that they really, and they've captured the youth. They've captured the youth with their control of the media, of just about everything, and the language just continues. And of course, since she is a member of the club, because she's part of the quote unquote community that wants to push all of this stuff, because you've got to push it, because if you don't push it, then it will obliterate. It'll disappear. It'll be dispensed and it'll be gone. Okay, so they have to try to push this as much as possible, and try to give it, meat and reality, and keep smacking it against the wall and tossing it and hoping that something will stick so that people will hang on to it, because we're battling the culture in words, in orientation, in science, in history. It's in every facet of our society that this type of postmodern nonsense talk it has gained ground.
Affect us all. I think I would just, if people are seeing this, beyond that, I would just encourage people to try to understand the intersectionality of this.
Okay, so the intersectionality she's talking about is that there's a hierarchy of people who need more attention than others. Okay, so being that she's a rich white woman, she's on a certain level of intersectionality, and she knows that. She knows that that's the critique, where it's like, why are you speaking? Because you're privileged and you're rich and you're white. Okay, so she's gonna appeal, and she's going to pander to lower income black women. Okay, and saying that they're the ones that are at risk and all that stuff, whatever. And because she knows that people are going to say, criticize even them among their own groups. They will cut each other up, and they'll say, the fact that, this person isn't representative of me. So that's why she's giving props to other people and talking about, and this intersectionality, if you recognize it, that will give you a license to be able to talk about these things. Okay, if I don't believe in this intersectionality stuff because I'm a white male, okay, I have no business talking about this, because I can't relate. I don't know what I'm talking about, because it's not empathetic to speak on something that you're not part of. However, if I quote the intersectionality, like what she's doing here, and you appeal to it and you pander to it, now you can probably get somebody to listen and to respect what you're saying.
I am a cisgendered rich white woman that lives in two of the most progressive cities in the world, with the protection of not only myself and my resources, but this resource and this protection, as are all of my teammates. Not everyone is afforded that. We know that this will disproportionately affect poor women, Black women, brown women, immigrants, women in abusive relationships.
See, the people that she's saying that this is going to affect more were the people that were targeted the most. And the statistics of how abortion and the eugenics projects of the early 19th century, from the very start, that we know very much well exist, and the white supremacy that very much well existed in those times, she's speaking as though she's on the side of those who have been genocided, to the 50% of their population. I understand that of all that have been aborted, that like 86 million since 1973, at least 1/3 are African American. Okay, and in some of those progressive cities that she's talking about, more black babies are murdered than they are actually born. Okay, so I mean, she has some nerve. I mean, this woman has some nerve. Somebody must be either she's that off her rocker, if she's either she's that convinced and that indoctrinated and that confused, or somebody's slipping some money under the table for her, and she's getting paid to be a spokesperson and a representative and a banner carrier for the continuation of the genocidal targeting of colored people in the womb. because if you follow the history on TrueNews365.com, I've posted the Maafa 21 video, which demonstrates and shows this from start to finish in like an hour and a half, 2 hour video, I believe. Shows how white supremacy has always been a movement. And this woman, if she knew any better and if she really cared about intersectionality, she would not be talking about this. She would be talking about anti-depopulation of the black people, because that's exactly what's going on. She comes from a different frame, from a different place, where the feministic movement that she represents is a man-hating ideological mentality, and that's where she's coming from. And so it intersects with this whole population control of abortion and getting rid because somehow of your children, because somehow she sees, because she's a woman who's not going to have a child. As far as I'm concerned, I think she's a lesbian woman. I doubt if she's married or she has a man or she has children of her own. She's decided not to do that, not to have a traditional family or have traditional values in that sense. But here she is. She stands for representative for people that are against that type of thing, that she sees women as possibly being slaves because they want to stay home, and she probably sees that women who are indoctrinated because they want to stay home and take care of their families. And so what she sees as weak is actually incredibly powerful, responsible, and accountable. But she sees it completely opposite. And that's why everything that she represents is backwards in society and diverts back to paganism.
Women who have been raped, women and girls who have been raped by family members.
So as true to the emotionality argument, they'll always bring out this rape situation, even though it's only when you count the numbers between the age range of the people that are having sex for recreation, and you look at this because of the hypersexuality that the culture shoots out into all media facets, and you look at that, and now you're going to talk about rape and use that and it's only like maybe a 0.5 or tops 1.5% of the reason why a woman will get an abortion. And even in that scenario, it's only a cultural mindset, a highly pervertedly feministic mindset that basically says that a woman should murder the child, ransack the child in the womb for the sake of the father or the person who rapes the woman, and they rape and they're out in 15, maybe 10, 15 years in some states. Okay, it's a rape again, but the child does get the death penalty. Mind you, her persuasion, the people that the community that she's in, does not believe in the death penalty. Only when it has to do with the innocent DNA having humanity in the womb. Then she's for the death penalty, and in the worst possible way. We're not even talking about in a humane way. We're talking about, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna go there.
Who, you know what, maybe just didn't make the best choice, and
maybe doesn't make the best choice, and with a chuckle. Okay, that's the essence of the problem that we're having in our culture. That when the abortion issue is a symptom. Okay, what she just chuckled at is actually the disease, the hypersexuality and the irresponsibility among men and women today is actually the disease. But yet she chuckles and she says, "Well, maybe they didn't make the best choices." Right. So you're tripping over a mistake, not realizing that it's a massive crater in our society.
That's no reason to be forced to have a pregnancy. It will.
Okay, so here she's describing forced pregnancy. So she's reversing the forced abortions that China would literally do in their country, and the deceptiveness that was done at the start of the early 19th century here, where women were were given, were treated, women that would have would give birth, that would be treated and it would in ways that would guarantee their sterility and not being able to give birth later on. It happened to a number of populations in the Caribbean historically, and I believe in the 20s and 30s, up until maybe into the 40s. I'm not sure, but that's an absolute fact. So she what she does, she flips the script and she says forced birth, where when in culture it's so backwards that women should be happy. There was a time when a woman would feel like she was cursed if she couldn't have kids, because so many women, because of the lack of advancement in medicine, women would lose their children. So they felt like their bodies, like they were cursed when they were during more superstitious times. But today, these feministic types are talking about, well, they're forcing us to give birth. Okay, this is after their little hiccup of irresponsibility and lack of accountability, of course.
Completely exacerbate so many of the existing inequalities that we have in our country. It doesn't keep not one single person safer. It doesn't keep not one single,
except the baby in the womb, the little babies, the little women in the womb,
child safer, certainly, and it does not keep one single, inclusive term, woman safer. We know that the lack
pregnancy is something that happens all the time. In fact, some women have more than one child, and it's something that they find beautiful and natural, and something that is known to historical humanity for thousands of years.
Abortion does not stop people from having abortions. It stops people from having safe abortions.
Well, it's like murder. You're not going to stop saying, homicide is a law. Laws against homicide doesn't mean that people are going to stop killing. But should it be done in society? No. Should it be punished? Absolutely yes. If you are a homicidal individual with bad intent, and something's wrong with you, then you're a person who's in our society that is a risky individual with a faulty mindset.
I would encourage people to understand all of the different aspects that overturning Roe v. Wade will have on so many, actually on everyone in the entire country. I just can't understate how sad and how cruel this is.
Cruel for who?
I think the cruelty is the point, because this is not pro-life by any means. This
the baby, we're putting parameters to save babies in the womb.
Way of thinking or political belief is coupled with a complete lack of motivation around gun laws. It comes with pro-death penalty. It comes with anti-health care, anti-prenatal care, anti-child care, anti-pre-K, anti-food assistance, anti-welfare, anti-education.
So all of these other issues that work on the ills of society are things that politicians could talk about. Okay, how they ransack the taxpayer can always be a argument for tomorrow. Okay, while we go in and deal with the fire in the house, right, which was abortion for 50 years. Okay, but we can definitely find ways to deal with the ills of our society, but we do not heal the ills of our society by genocide, by killing our own population. That's just backwards thinking.
Anti-maternity leave, anti-paternity leave.
If you look at our government and how they waste completely our taxpayer money, you know for a fact that there's definitely plenty of wiggle room to discuss how to better dispense of our taxpayer money, how to motivate churches to take on a lot of the needs of our country, as long as the government is able to know their place and to allow people to do what they need to do. There's plenty of political talk and conversation to have concerning all of these issues that she just brought up.
This is not pro-life. And
for the child, it is.
It's very frustrating and disheartening and frankly just infuriating to hear that be the reason that people are wanting to end abortion rights and end this vital aspect of a woman's not only healthcare and general like basic safety in this country, but
so here we go yet again with another opportunity to throw in some an appeal to emotionality, okay? Which should always signal to anybody in any debate, any conversation, okay, where they're going and what they're trying to appeal to and what they're trying to do with people, to their listeners, okay? Appealing to the emotionality. Once again, euphemizing what healthcare is. Attaching that to the genocide in the womb and the Holocaust, of the American Holocaust for 50 years. And you're adding, okay? You're basically saying that it's reproductive rights, a woman's health, all of that stuff is an appeal, and not only euphemizing, but also appeal to emotionalities that are absolutely unrealistic and, shouldn't even be in the same conversation.
Her bodily autonomy. And
so the whole bodily autonomy thing, nobody wants to get in the way of anybody's bodily autonomy. But yet again, an age-old argument that just keeps being ignored. But that's why you just have to keep repeating it, because it's a truth. It's absolutely truth. The body in the body is not your body, okay? And so that's where it goes. My body, that's why my body, my choice, they practically stopped saying it, okay? Because people, it just kept triggering people to say, well, that's a separate body being brought up, and she hasn't done it. But then that's where you get the people calling the baby in the womb a parasite. All it does is demonstrate to the listener how morbidly ridiculous the person is in this argument. So anyone who goes to those lengths to try to make their point, you already know where their mentality is.
Right to freedom and the pursuit of happiness and liberty is being...
Again, now she's appealing to the Constitution. The Constitution nowhere gives a woman a right to murder, okay? In fact, that whole, the life and liberty, all of that stuff, that laws appealed to the baby, to the humanity in the womb, and to not to do harm, okay, to a soul. And so right across the board, everybody knows and understands in basic science, as always, even though they'll try to, in some cases, ridiculously argue against it, or even try to diminish the hierarchy of value, try to add a hierarchy of value on the process and the development of a fetus in the womb, from conception to the 3 trimesters. They just will try to go there as much as they can, and they can never make their argument stick, because they're literally becoming science deniers in order to do it.
Assaulted in this instance.
So now again, she went back to the aggressive, violent language. And so you should see the type of methods of abortion that there are. Go to that video, what's it called? Silent Scream. Okay, on YouTube, I think it's still even here, or silentscream.org or .com or something like that. Silent Scream, and you'll see what assault is.
And it's just incredibly disheartening. There are an infinite amount of reasons why a woman chooses to do what she does with her body, or what they do with their body, none of which are anybody else's business. And
yet another argument, okay? If I hear my neighbor getting killed in her apartment next door, what do I do? Okay? In the least, if I don't call the police, okay, then I am a callous, disgusting individual. This anybody could understand. So in Christianity, we love our neighbor. We think that's the moral thing to do. If we ask even the average atheist and to say, is it proper to love your neighbor? Is it a good thing? They will say yes, okay? The ones that are plenty deluded will try to argue against that. Well, I don't know what good is or whatever. Yeah, but even in your standard, you would think it's okay for me to step in if someone's being assaulted. In society, we call those heroes, okay? But in this case, the neighbor that's sanctioned by murder mill in every neighborhood, I don't get to speak up for the poor person in the womb, okay? My neighbor in society, not a very good argument.
I just, again, like, it's just so disheartening and so sad because some people will be okay, but most people will not. Most people are not in a position or have the resources or whatever the case may be.
What we need in the community, once again, she's appealing once again to poor people, okay? Poor black women, all right? And she's talking about this thing to try to get some kind of leverage, show some kind of virtual signaling of compassion or whatever. Again, once again, a disclaimer, she really believes this stuff. So she probably has genuine, sincere feelings about thinking that that what she's saying is true. But I'm telling you that she's absolutely misguided. She's a person who's deluded in her understanding. And it's because of the worldview that she is a part of, that she has for herself. And that is why. But she's misguided in that for 50 years, the government has been paying Planned Parenthood $500,000 every year to continue a campaign of white supremacy and murdering people of color, where they set up their murder mills in most every corner of every inner city, every neighborhood. Okay, so in every town. This is obvious. We all know this, and you can't deny it. So the appeal to thinking that they're doing someone a favor to continue the program of genocide of colored people is completely misguided, and I think I proved that point.
To protect themselves. And so to have the entirety of the U.S. government say to people's faces, say to women's faces, we do not care. We are going to force our belief system, which is deeply rooted in a white supremacist patriarchal Christianity. We are going to.
Okay, that's a yummy one. Okay, so let's go into that. Once again, I demonstrated that the white supremacy is by way of the secularist, genocidal, euthanistic, eugenics program of Margaret Sanger that started that in this nation, among many others. We recognize that. That's history that is not far off from anyone who has a Google, a computer, okay, and a library card, if that still exists. And I'll tell you, this white supremacy is coming from that side, okay? We recognize that. That is absolutely true. But this whole day, this is where she gets to the point where she's going to start attacking Christianity, right? But the situation, this argument does not have to even include Christianity or any religion. If you're an atheist, you should find it difficult to murder innocence and a human being in the womb. You can't say it's not a human being in the womb when it has its own separate DNA, and soon after, unless you throw a monkey wrench and stick your foot out, that will be a human being, and you know that. And so the idea that it's a human only if I desire a baby, that's absolutely crazy talk. And we understand that. Okay, so all the points, I'm going to stop here. All the points of this argument on this side, this immoral position here, recognizes why the Supreme Court, our nation, could not uphold and continue sustaining this nonsense, because it's a charade. It started as a charade. It was never a law. Supreme Court does not make law. They're supposed to interpret it. This is never created as law from Congress. Congress is the only one that's supposed to make law. And so it's been a sham for 50 years. of absolute programmed logistical genocide of mainly colored people. Okay, and it's the white supremacy that I'm talking about. And so here she is trying to blame Christianity, and it's like, no, you don't even have. If you're moral, if you're an atheist and you claim to be moral, you should know the difference between killing innocents. You should be against killing innocents. Okay, obviously, somehow in her wokeness, she's not able to see the forest for the trees in this sense. Anyway, thanks for listening to this commentary. I just felt I had to rebut some of the so many arguments. She continues going on for another 6-7 minutes, but this video would be too long. But I probably will be posting this up at TrueNews365.com. Check out a recent one that I did also rebutting the tantrum by the Young Turks, Anna Gasparian, as well, blaming Christianity. And like I said, hey, if you claim to be moral, and people sometimes ask, can atheists be moral? Well, here's your chance to shine. Here's your chance to demonstrate that we cannot kill innocents in the womb, and also demonstrate while you're at it that you're not anti-science, recognizing that a DNA of the father and the mother, unique DNA of the individual, it's the individual humanity in the womb, and never is there a time when humanity does not have personhood. You're killing a person in the womb regardless of what stage of life he or she is in. Okay? Until next time, God bless. We'll continue to pray for our leaders, our president, our leaders, and our communities and our people. In Jesus' name, Christ is King. It's either Christ or chaos. Until next time, take care.